views expressed on this program are those of the hosts, guests, and callers, and are not necessarily those of this station, its management, or other advertisers. You're listening to Transformation Talk Radio.
Hi, welcome. This is Dr. John DeMartini. This is one of the most amazing and inspiring shows that you can listen into. If you want to be on the edge of your seats, if you want to open up your heart, if you want to expand your mind, and you want to meet incredible people, stay tuned because you're just about to experience a transformative radio show that will change your life. And you're listening to the Dr. Pat Show that's coming up right next.
The following audio is via a Skype call.
Welcome to the Dr. Pat Show. Talk radio to thrive by. Powerful, inspiring, and coming to you live, bringing you stories of people like you and me busting through and living life full out. Get ready to dare to wonder what your life would be like if you knew you could not fail. Hey, everybody. Welcome, and happy Halloween to everybody out there. Wow, Mr. Benny, the day has come.
I know.
I've been looking all forward to it too.
Okay, are you going to share anything about Halloween, or are we going to keep it a secret a little bit?
No, I can do it now. I'm not in costume as we speak. You know, we have our little party a little bit later, and it kind of gets in the way during my usual shift around here since I'm a one-man band. So I'm actually dressing up as Cousin Eddie from National Lampoons. From Christmas Vacation.
Nice.
Yeah, I did it on Saturday. I did a pretty decent job with it. So, we're going to go with that.
Cool.
Yeah. So I'll have photos later.
Yeah, I love it. I'm totally into it.
Good.
I thought for myself, well, what am I relating to this year? And actually, we're going to be doing a whole show on Halloween here pretty soon. And I looked at what's trending. Now, I don't know if you've been able to kind of look at what's trending in the media, but there's like a little website. What they've done is they've put up an entire Halloween fact sheet. And it's an interactive fact sheet. And what it has is it has the analysis of what people are dressing up as and what the trends are.
Okay.
So, top of the list is people are dressing up based on movies, on films.
Right. Okay. Pretty simple.
That's
yeah.
number one. Yep. And that is really what our show today is going to be talking a bit about and then beyond. The next thing they look at is, okay, what are people then dressing up as? And they do it by state. And I was like blown away. And one of the things that I noticed is some people are dressing up as rabbits. Number one ranked, dress up as a rabbit.
Seriously?
And I'm thinking today we're going to be talking here with Daniel Jones, and we're going to be talking about Become the Force, about Jedi and Jedi mastery. And I'm thinking to myself, what are people? And I go and look in New Hampshire, number one is to dress up as a rabbit.
Interesting.
And then I thought, well, wait a minute. Is that just in Idaho? They're dressing up as a rabbit. So what I'm looking at is, okay, yeah, we've got that going on. So I don't understand the rabbit thing, but hopefully we'll talk about it later on. The thing that I was looking at mostly is, okay, what else do people dress up as? And that's what we're talking about today. You know, what is it about the energy of this? What is it that we want more of? You know, what is it that when we look at that force of nature that we want to be and want to become, what is it that people want to tap into most, Benny? And I think all of us are a little bit sad that has any of us that have ever followed any of the Star Wars, anything about the Jedi, anything about that, the notion of a last Jedi absolutely doesn't make any sense to us. We don't understand it, but we don't have to, because Daniel M. Jones has come out and said, Become the Force, 9 lessons on how to live as a Jediist master. We don't have to have a last Jedi. And let me just tell you a little bit about Daniel and why I'm so excited about this to show today. And Linda, how brilliant is Linda in planning these shows on Halloween, knowing that I don't really get to celebrate my birthday. And so what happens is we get to celebrate Halloween in the greatest way. And so when we start to look at this Jedi phenomenon, Daniel is someone that has looked at this from many, many different perspectives, whether it be music, whether it be looking at the perspectives in our society, whether it is how to look at ourselves, those of us that may be classified as different in the world. Yep, we have been classified as different. And you've heard me talk about this. The thing that today's show is about, different doesn't mean less than. Daniel, welcome to the show. It's great to have you here.
Hey, guys. It's great to be here. Thank you.
Let's start with a little conversation about you before we dig into this a little bit. It is really clear in our pop culture right now that we are affixed to and are very interested in the way we are influenced by film, by movies. And yet at the same time, what that means to most of us is that we pick up lessons from it. You've got a book here that says, wait a minute. And I love that this book is going to come out on paperback here. You've said, wait a minute, we can all tap into this. We don't have to be something that's just in a movie and long to be it. We can become it. What was it that literally moved you to first tap into your own force and bring it forward, and the lessons for our culture today?
Well, I think it's a complex question to answer. And I think one of the things is I could see, I don't know, I feel like we're regressing as a species, So we got the most technology we've ever had. We've got the most nutritious food we've ever had. And we've got all this access to everything, information, everything. But we seem to be regressing. And I'm thinking, what is going on? But I think, so from my mind, it was like something must be done about this. And then I realized, obviously, I've been a huge Star Wars fan. I've done a bunch of research, searching for those answers, looking how can you be the best you can be, et cetera, because a Jedi is kind of like the best person, you can be. It's a spiritually enlightened being who's a guardian of peace or a warrior of peace. And I think that's awesome. So to me, it was like seeing society go backwards and thinking, okay, something must be done about this right now. All kinds of crazy things. I mean, politically and socially, the human race has gone I have no idea, upside down, basically.
Yeah. And you know what? Those of us that are looking at the world and look at it from a 35,000 foot level, let's just say, and what I mean by that is, we're not in the weeds of our day to day. We're able to step back a little bit and ask ourselves, what are we doing as a species? Are we moving forward? And I think it depends on where you live, but I will tell you that there is a question mark here in our country, in the United States of America. There's a question mark, especially around behavior and this notion of, are we moving forward or are we regressing? And, I had a mentor once, let's just say a Jedi, said, sometimes, Pat, we take 3 steps forward and 1 step back. And I just thought, oh my gosh, I really don't like when I take 3 steps back. I really would like to avoid it. Isn't your book about helping people understand how they can continue to move forward?
Indeed it is, yeah. So it's basically like we are influenced heavily by the evil dark forces that exist in the universe. And, without going into too much detail, it's in a nutshell, it's an evil dark force. But it kind of tries to suppress humanity. That we are not enlightened beings who don't have the capability to do things. And this is prevalent or evident in places where we're almost told by society that, people who do amazing things are special people. Like this person's a hero. This person and they are heroes. I'm not saying that people who pull people out of burning buildings aren't heroes or celebrities aren't entertaining. What I'm trying to say is that they're just humans at the end of the day, and we detach ourselves from those realities. We think that they're something more than human. They're almost homo novus, which is incorrect. We're all exactly the same, and so people have this decline in motivation for creativity because they see this like, oh, I can never be like this person. And nobody ever tells them, no, you're a human, you're amazing, you can do absolutely anything you put your mind to. And it's kind of like that with the book. It's pushing you forward to propel yourself into being the best you can be, being in touch with the universe, being in touch with the living life force energy, and being able to go, okay, I can now take myself forward consistently and achieve great things because I think I can, and I know I can. And that's so powerful, because people just, nobody in school ever tells you, do you know what, you are fantastic. You are able to do anything you've ever done. Because I always say, look at the bridge or some crazy big tower that you think, wow, how did this thing even exist? Some of these great cathedrals we see, and you think, well, these are just done by humans, These are just people, just like you and I. And it's amazing. And I just love enlightening people with things like that, because then they never really think about it. They always think that, oh, look at the architect this, and they observe it, but they don't realize that it's just done by people.
Yeah. I have to tell you, I love your book, and I love it for a lot of reasons. Let me tell you what my thoughts are about it, and then we're going to really dig into it. Okay. I am somebody that is fascinated by imagination and by creativity. And as a child, my childhood wasn't the best in the world. And so my mode of escaping was movies and theater, and, growing up in an era where, I wasn't so much interested in the drama of that. I was interested in the fascination of it and the newness of it. And one of the things that I got to grow up with, and now it's almost like there's so much of it that, it isn't really the exception to the media, but I got to grow up with some of the most incredible, imaginative, let's just talk about TV for a minute, TV. I mean, to grow up with something called the Twilight Zone, right? Now, a lot of people are so young, they're not like, we heard the phrase, but we don't know what you're talking about, Pat.
Yes, yeah.
Right. They're like, I don't know what you're talking about. But to grow up with that kind of what just happened in that show right there, it calls us to really think out of the, as a matter of fact, what I love about your book is you're not really asking us to think out of the box. You're asking us to annihilate the box. And I think that's what's required, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. And, it's quite funny because what you're saying is kind of true, and slightly, going behind enemy lines when I say this, but the original Star Trek series, I know it's not Star Wars related, but just for television, we were talking about television and how creativity is something amazing. But it was some of the first ever sci-fi ever created in that manner. So all the stories are brand new, and we can see the parallels with like the Beatles. Why the Beatles so successful? Because they made music that no one had ever done. They created samplers, and they had this idea, and they did it because they were the first of their kind to express and flex that creativity panel in those genres. We see it as this really big boom of creativity. But unfortunately now we are oversaturated with people wanting to replicate things, and we kind of, we've played all 12 notes on the scale. We've done all 3 story plot lines that you can have in movies. So now we're just perpetually going through recycling. But what I'm trying to do is get people to say, no, you are able to create rather than recreate. And I label this all the time when I speak to people who are feeling a bit kind of like, oh, I don't know, going with life and stuff. I say to them, look, think about what you do with yourself. And we use the word recreation because it's recreating. And recreating is like, I'm going to go into this field and play soccer, and I play it the same way that somebody else has played soccer. That's recreating. But it's almost like you're a hamster in a spinning wheel, and you're just going round and round in this spinning wheel because you're not really creating anything. You're just recreating what somebody else has done. So I say, go out and create something. And the moment you create something that's brand new, that's innovative and creative, it'll just obliterate any doubt you have about yourself and move and propel you forward to being like the sun. And so, and that's how I live my life. I always try to think like, what can I do to be cool? How can I make something better? How can I better myself by thinking about something cool? And I think that's such an inspirational thing to realize and to think about. Because when people say, how do you want to spend your time? And a lot of people spend their time recreating, but I like to spend my time creating. And I think that's such an amazing thing.
Well, I do too, and I want to talk about that for a minute. I want to just be really clear for those of you just tuning in. Daniel Jones joining me here today, but the bottom line is the book is about become the force. And when you read this book, what it does is it takes you on a journey of action items. I love action items to do. Everything from what are the three wishes you might have, but to really step forward and to have some checkpoints. One of the checkpoints I must check in with you on That was a little interesting sentence. I want to check in and start out with the dark side for a minute, because the dark side in the world we live in, and in your book, by the way, and I don't know what page it's on, but I loved it, is one of the dark side items is doubt. And you talk about it in the book. And I want to have a moment to talk with you about this, because what I've discovered in not just my life, but in working with others and doing this for 14 years now, is the minute that doubt creeps in, it has such an effect, even more so than fear. Doubt is this strange, insidious thing that I think separates a massive Jedi force with a fabulously confirming saber of light and one that doesn't believe that they can actually sling it. And I wanted to have you share what you talk about in the book and in your work about doubt.
That was an interesting thing, because like you said, it's the pinnacle between so Yoda says, do or do not, there is no try. And trying means that if you go with the mindset, I'm going to try to do something, then you are almost doubting yourself as much as you are not doubting yourself. As much as you believe you can do it, you're doubting the fact that you can do it. And I think that's quite interesting, because people always, there's light and there's dark. And they're the two extremes, and that's how life is. It is in these two boxes. But people will live their lives through this kind of scale, if you like. So doubt will kind of interfere with their daily life. But it's that mindset of having the idea where you go, well, okay, I'm going to do that. And when you put that in place, then you go, okay, and you will do it, because you're going to do it. There's no doubt about it. And that's where that sentence comes from. But in terms of doubt, this is an interesting thing as well. And I've kind of taught this as well to people. When they say, I'm going to go to, I don't know, they say they're going to go on holiday mountain climbing, and they go, okay, I'm going to go mountain climbing. And I go, is that what you choose to do? And they go, yeah, I'm thinking about, I'm not really sure. So that instance, when they say that, you go, well, if you have a doubt, then it's a no. So doubt is a way of masking the fact that you go, okay, if you're saying like, okay, we're going to have pasta or pizza tonight, and you go, I'm going to have pasta, and then you kind of doubt yourself, I should have gone for pizza. Then you were wrong. That was a wrong decision. So again, there's no mystery like, maybe, maybe not. There was just a yes or no. And people live their lives with this kind of in-between part. And it's kind of, I guess, the psychological reasoning behind it is that they don't want to admit that they could be wrong. You know what I mean? But admitting you're wrong is not a bad thing. But it's in taking doubt out of the equation and putting a solid yes or no into the equation will change how you see things and how you operate as a human. And then this is, again, one of the things that I try and teach is that if you have doubt about something, then it's a complete no. But if you go if you start as you mean to go on and you say, yes, I'm going to do that, because we all know deep down what we're going to do. If somebody says, can you run up a mountain? You go, well, at the moment, no, but I probably could do it. And you go, what are you going to do? Are you going to do it or are you not going to do it? And if you want to do it, you'll say, I'm going to do it. But, and it's fascinating. But the word, doubt, I mean, it's such it's bizarre. And it's almost so difficult to explain. You have to experience it to really get it.
Why do we so resist the notion of us becoming a Jedi? Now, I know that that is what you call yourself, right? And and why do we resist the notion that we too can be part of this teaching, can be part of this? And the reason I'm bringing this up is because there are so many lessons in life, and I've had quite a few of them. And I love in the book, and one of the quotes you have, where I think you say something like, if you strike me down, I'll become more powerful than you can possibly imagine. And I got to tell you, that is my story. And I've been down a few times in a lot of different ways, even from early childhood. But I've never said that. I've never said that Obi-Wan Kenobi statement, right? I've never said it, but I've believed it. Meaning that, somehow I managed to have more motivation to get up than I've ever done before. But it's a powerful statement, isn't it?
Yeah, and it reminds me of this. I refer to the book Fight Club quite a bit within my book, and I actually refer to actually wanting to watch the movie because the movie is a really good way to view it. But in the movie, Brad Pitt takes a cashier clerk from a gas station, puts him on his knees behind the gas station, says, "Mr. Chung, today you are going to die," or whatever, and then he says, "Okay." Or Chow, the guy's last name is, and he said, "You're going to die." And he said, "Oh God," he's on his hands and he's got a gun to his head, and he says, "What did you want to do before you die?" He said, "Well, I wanted to be a vet." He said, "Why are you working in a gas station? Get off your knees." And he's like, "Oh, well, I don't know." He says, "Well, you're going to die." And he goes, "Well, actually, I'll tell you what, why don't you go home and I'm going to check in on you, and if you're not on your way to being a vet within 6 months, you'll die." But and then the guy runs off and he goes, Edward Norton says to him, "What on earth did you just do that for?" And he said, "Well, tomorrow that guy's going to wake up and have the best experience of his life because he's going to be thankful for the life he's living. But he's also now going to reassess what his situation is." And it's kind of like that idea of whatever doesn't kill you makes you stronger attitude. And it's ingrained in us. And this is like the book. The book is kind of taking us back to real basic ideas of thinking, goodness, we've lost the idea of just simple ideas. The core principles or axioms of being a human and being alive have just been completely ripped out of us. So you are right. And again, if you strike me down, I'll become more powerful than you ever can imagine. And I guess that is true across everything. Just like that, if somebody gets attacked and then they survive it, they're going to be a stronger person. They have gained life points in a. Okay, I know it's a horrible situation, something like that, but it's still you can still turn it into a gain for yourself and how you are as a person. And an experience is everything. And I guess that is prevalent. Like whatever doesn't kill you makes you stronger. Whatever wherever you have mistakes, you learn from those. And that's what people say, "I learn from my mistakes," and you do, and we have to, because it's the only way we're going to learn. Just like I suppose, early man learned that you couldn't hold fire, but it's still a thing that we need to use. So now, I'm wise, I'm not going to hold fire. So I think with what the book is doing, it's kind of making people rethink about the things that you already know. Like you said, you're not trying to think outside the box. Just get rid of that. Just what are you doing? And it's like you've already known this information. You already have all the tools you need. You just don't have the idea to put it together. And that's what the book is trying to mend, that gap between what you already know and the fact that you've just brushed it aside because society has forced you into this kind of weird perpetual, blanket of listening, which is, I think, it's so interesting.
I think it is too. But believe it or not, there was something that was in the background on the TV the other night, and they actually used that quote. And I think it was one of the news channels. And we're starting to see it in many, many places. But you've taken a wonderful approach in the book. I mean, each chapter has a special meaning. Each chapter, is built upon this notion and the contributions of others in the book. Please, I would love for you to take a minute and share about the journey of creating the book.
Okay, cool. So the journey in creating the book was quite an interesting one. It was probably it's probably the weirdest time in my life because I was doing a degree in chemistry at the time. I was midway through it. And I was on a webcast on Facebook talking to Teresa Chung, who is my ghostwriter and an editor of the actual book, Become the Force, as you obviously read in the book. And so she invited me on the show, and we spoke about the Force and Star Wars and Jediism and what I was trying to do and trying to enlighten people. And I was also doing this degree, so she said, "Well, maybe we should come up with a book." And it wasn't the first time I'd heard this. I actually had HarperCollins messaged me about 7 years prior, and we're interested in doing a book. So I was no good at. I wasn't in my, I wasn't in the right frame of mind. I was a lot younger then. I was in my mid-20s, and who wants to read a book by some 20-something-year-old? If they say, "Oh, at least he's 30," and it's kind of like, it's sad, but it's true. So for me, the journey was like, okay, I had to compile everything I'd studied my entire life, and then really concisely put it into this. These 9 chapters, and it's fascinating how we did it. The book was written over an entire year, but we set aside 1 hour every week to compile the chapters via audio, and it was just phenomenal. But what made it fascinating for me was that it was almost like reflecting back on everything I'd ever studied. And so when you're collating everything to put it into a book format for all the references and the studying you've done and all the information you've gathered and the thoughts and the ideas that I put in from my experiences, it kind of, I don't know, you sit and think, wow, and it becomes more exciting, I guess. I don't know, and it kind of fills with energy. And that's what the kind of book was for me. But the interesting thing about it was that I was writing this book and my dissertation in chemistry at the exact same time. And it was so weird that the deadlines for both of them were the same day. And I found that was just the weirdest thing. So I had these two really crazy books I was writing at the same time. But the journey of the book really, again, it started about 7 years prior. I had this idea for this book, and it's 9 chapters, and all the chapters in the book that you see now were the original names and the original title chapters for the book when I thought about it maybe 7 to 8 years ago when HarperCollins were interested, but I wasn't ready for it then. So it was really nice to kind of think this information is still all about everything that I'm doing, and it's still valid, and it was just, it's phenomenal.
Yeah, it is. And what we're seeing is that, for the people that are tuning in, we're going to actually give away 3 copies of the book, Become the Force. But what it is it takes our consciousness that we now have in our pop culture. And what I mean by that is in our everyday lives, in our everyday lives. I mean, I used Halloween as an example of talking about what are the people showing up as, what do they want to be in this holiday season. And when we come back, we're going to talk about that a little bit more, because I think we'll be surprised. The question is there a new generation of Jedi that are emerging through our culture? And what does it mean for us to develop our self-defense and martial arts? What do we do? What do we need to do? And how does Daniel take us on a journey of creating that emotional energy we need to really step forward as this? Yeah.
So there's definitely a new kind of generation of people who are coming up to the plate, who are primed for this, and that's why I think the book is so relevant right now. Is because people have been searching for these things basically their entire lives, and so to me, it's kind of like it's perfect time. People are moving out of the slump we've been into. They're moving away from the emotional depression that everybody kind of faces in today's society due to economic and global issues. But it's combining self-defense, which is martial arts, with a spiritual guidance philosophy, kind of like Tai Chi and yoga, and it's all of those types of martial arts experiences which will help you be enlightened. And I think those are so powerful, because people want to go to karate and boxing to be like, I'm going to kick some ass, and it's okay, it's great if you want to be a macho man, but it's not spiritually enlightening. But in terms of yoga and Tai Chi, these are spiritually enlightening because they concentrate the mind and the soul and the spirit to be in line with the universe, the force, the natural life force, and you have that communication. But once you have that communication, I mean, you'll radiate just like the brightest star ever.
Here's what I want to talk about when we come back and give away copies of the book. What does it require for each of us, Daniel? What does it require for each of us? What are some of the things we can learn right out of the gate? What's our new mantra? That's in the book too. We're going to take a short break. When we come back, we're going to give you lots of information how you can get your own copy of the book. And what is it that we as a culture are now relating to, probably, if you looked at just this holiday, more than any other characters right now? Let's take a short break. We'll be right back.
Have you ever said to a friend, I am trying to be less stressed. I am hoping to meet someone special. Or how about, I am working on getting a job I love. Hi, I'm Eve from Elite Tarot, host of the weekly show, Mainstream Metaphysics Radio. Words like hoping, wanting, and trying may seem innocent. However, they carry with them emotional weight that actually blocks energy. Next time you start to say these words, say instead, I am becoming less stressed. I am looking forward to meeting someone special. I am pursuing a job I love. While your brain may resist, note how your body physically feels as possibility of success suddenly appears. As an intuitive coach and professional tarot card reader, I work with clients worldwide on using energy effectively to embrace joy. If you'd like to schedule a session, please visit my website at elitetarot.com. That's ELITETAROT.com.
Holistic Medical Center is where you find it all. A healthy space with doctors who care, see, and listen to the whole you. Hi, this is Dr. Darvish. If you have not found an answer to your chronic symptoms, you will find answers here at Holistic Medical Center. Our doctors find the root cause of your symptoms and guide your body towards healing naturally. We transform lives from within. Visit drdarvish.com or call 425-451-0404.
Amber Teal, founder of The Healthy Edge, is bringing you the hit show Healthy Edge Radio, living with power, passion, and purpose. Amber provides the support and tools necessary for you to finally release the weight and emotions that are hidden beneath the weight. Tune in each month on Transformation Talk Radio. For more information on how you can take the next step with Amber, visit getthehealthyedge.com.
Transformation Talk Radio is dedicated to the education and awareness of Lyme disease.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to Lyme Talk Radio. I'm Dr. Pat, joined here by
Dr. Nusheen Darvish.
Dr. Pat Basili and Dr. Nusheen Darvish will be bringing the most innovative, groundbreaking information, research, treatment innovations, and stories from those it affects every day.
I'm so excited to be talking about this.
We have so much to share.
Dr. Darvish and I are planning to do is connect the dots.
People suffering with all sorts of chronic diseases, it's time. It is time for them to transform.
Tune into Lyme Talk Radio and help keep our mission strong.
For the loyal listeners out there that have been listening to this incredible show on Lyme disease, we are not going to let you down. We're going to come through stronger and enrich the platform for Lyme disease awareness through Lyme Talk Radio. The message will continue, the conversations will become stronger, and the healing epic. Hey, everybody, welcome back. Happy Halloween for those of you out there. And those of you that are listening now to the replay of this, yeah, this was a show we did on Halloween, and we're really excited about our lineup for this day. So make sure that if you're looking at our podcast after the fact, you check out October 31st. Daniel Jones joining me here today. Daniel, before we gonna jump ahead, I would like to know, how can people find out more about you? How can they get involved in what you're doing and also get a copy of the book?
Sure. So you can just go to becometheforce.com, and that will have all information and links everywhere. It's right now it's just a holding page. Get a picture of the book. You can order it from Barnes & Noble or Amazon. But come the 16th of November, there'll be a bunch of information on there, and you can get in touch with me directly. But we're also on Facebook. So if you just look for the Church of Jediism on Facebook, you'll definitely come across us.
Yeah. And the reason I'm excited about this is because anywhere you go in this book, you'll find quotes. And that's what, for me, that's what this show and our network has been about for 14 years. It really is about, and I said this once before, it's about the elimination of the words try and can't from your vocabulary and your consciousness. Mm-hmm. And you're giving us tools to do that. I'd love to give a copy of the book away right now. 1-800-930-2819. 1-800-930-2819. So I want to make a reference, and then let's talk about it. I don't think any of us are really excited right now about the whole Last Jedi thing. You know, and we're watching the trailer for the movie, right? And I'm watching the trailer for the movie, and of course, seeing Carrie Fisher in there just makes me cry. But I'm watching and I'm thinking, well, wait a minute. I don't want to. Do I really want to go see a movie where the dark side may win? So this is me now, right? This is my consciousness, because that's the image they're portraying in it. Or do I want to go see the Justice League movie because, wait a minute, there's like an army of good people beating the army of bad people. And you see the energy of that's going on in my consciousness. I mean, everybody on the planet right now that has ever watched The Walking Dead has figured out that Michonne's quote of stop fantasizing about failure, focus on winning, and the whole energy of that now is a reprieve from anything that has come before. Aren't we now ready to all become Jedi, all become masters, and all become winners? I mean, that's what I'm saying about about this energy that transcends our politics and news, really.
Yeah. No, yeah, definitely. I think just to go back to the movie part of it, I think Disney are spinning it as a wild card here. I don't think it's actually the end of any Jedi. I think they're just basically trying to make sure that everybody goes to the movies because they think this is the last one and I'm never going to see anything again. But Disney likes to milk everything. It would be the silliest thing they ever do to get rid of the Jedi. So it's probably just going to be like it's time for the Jedi to end eating this sandwich. I think it's going to be something very simple. But in terms of people waking up and being a more positive vibe person, to be like, yeah, I want to be a Jedi. Well, they don't know it. They don't call it that, but they want to do something because I see this thirst for something. I've never seen yoga classes more full. I've never seen nutrition bars so full. I've never seen so much people wanting to be vegetarian. I've never seen so many people wanting to use mindfulness tools to get through their daily life. It's phenomenal. And by saying that, I think people are ready for something. They've been waiting their whole lives for this. And this is what I'm trying to do with the book. I'm like, I know I've been waiting here, my entire life to compile this information to get it to somebody. Because to me, I always say, somebody says, oh, what's the book like? I said, look, it's like an idiot's guide to Buddhism. And they say, like, what's that mean? I say, well, in Buddhism, you got like the Eightfold Path, and you've got to learn this and that and learn like different namings. And it's all very confusing. And it takes you, it's pretty much a degree to get through it before you can say, right, I'm a Buddhist, through and through. But with the book, I feel like it gives you everything. You can say, right, I've read the book, I know where to go. And then it starts you on that journey. And the beauty of your life and beauty of life in general is that the journey is down to you and you decide where that goes. And that's just amazing.
Yeah. So here, let's talk about this because I said I would share this segment. So what is the new generation I'm referring to? Since we're in Halloween, since we're talking Jedi, since we're talking Jedi skills, since we're talking, what happens for you as a person, what do you have to do? What transformation does one have to go through to deal with your own inner demons, right? And that's what we're talking about too. Mm-hmm. Part of transformation is, like I'm fighting a giant something or other out in the world, or do we first fight that demon that's within ourselves? And isn't that also the storyline for becoming a Jedi as well?
Yeah, it is. And I think it's taking care of your soul, I guess, or your spirit, or however you want to see it. And it's understanding and facing it head on, because we all have demons. We all have issues that we need to face. When you face those issues, it's like somebody lifts 1,000 pounds off your shoulders. You're able to kind of think straight. You can articulate. It's kind of like, an example would be, you're really worried about something, right? And you're building it up in your head and you're building it up. But then you share that with somebody and somebody says, oh, that's easy. I can sort that out for you. And they do it and you go, oh my God. And then you sleep there, and you go, and that's all it is. But that's a physical sense, a materialistic kind of physical matter sense. But in terms of the human and how it exists, where it exists, we do not know, but I mean, as in a person vibrating in a certain energy field and reality being abundant here, I think it's a self-discovery platform that you need to first deal with. Because it's kind of like, hey, look, if I'm giving all my energy away, or if I'm giving all my money away to charity, I become a charity myself. So if I'm giving all my energy and all my emotional response to everybody else and not treating myself as priority number one, then I am again adding to that consistent issue. So it's a program. It's a path to self-discovery, to face your problems head on, fix them, understand them, accept them, and move on.
Yeah. So this is what I love about this. What was the phenomenon that took the entire pop culture in the United States by storm? And I'm not talking about our election. I'm talking about the residency that people have, the relatedness they have. And so it's right in line with what you have in your book. And so when you're looking at what are kids showing up as, this is a perfect example of a little bit of a gap in generations, right? You ready? So if most kids or people show up as Wonder Woman, everybody gets it. And clearly that's a massively popular character. Let's talk about why. Why is she that? And it is because I think of the elements that you put in the book. You know, the Jedi, it has always been a character, the Dark Force, all of that. This is the first female character that has come along that has represented the depth and the breadth of how to achieve, not just achieve for the sake of winning, but how to achieve through love. And boy, I'll tell you, that was such a universal message throughout this. I mean, everybody's dressing up as Wonder Woman. I was talking to a friend of mine, and she said, I don't know what to do. My son wants to be Wonder Woman. I said, well, let your son be Wonder Woman. I mean, what are you saying you don't know what to do? His sister's being Wonder Woman. He doesn't understand. Why can't I be Wonder Woman? And so isn't she representative as well of a Jedi Force?
Yeah, and I think it's do you know what it actually represents? To me, I can see it. It's a lot of people think strength is a physical manifestation of muscle, or an emotional manifestation of being able to suppress depression. But strength is where you are able to love unconditionally and be a support mechanism that's based on love, and a person who acts out of love rather than out of impulse. And that to me is strength and strong. And so she is a strong woman in that sense. And so people are saying, I want to be that strong, and I want to be powerfully moved by love. And I think that's where that comes into play. But we don't see it as a conditional thing. We see it it's an unconscious kind of effort that we understand. But it's humans thirsting for that move, like I said in the book. It's people thirsting for that new way of living, or not a new way of living, should I say, the ancient way of living.
Well, I want to ask you about a quote in the book, and I just want to say we've got another copy of the book to give away, 1-800-930-2819. I love this book. This book is not only a great read for all of you, but I'm actually going to be giving this book to a 10-year-old who loves to read with her dad. 1-800-930-2819. There's a quote in the book, "Luminous beings are we, not this crude matter." And that is worth a conversation, I think, Daniel, to talk about, because not many people might know what that means, but you go on to talk about it. You also go on to talk about growing up again, and you are what you eat and drink. And then you talk about something in this chapter that is one of my favorite concepts ever, and I happened to study with the professor in California that was researching it, and it's called the flow. I wanted to ask you about the flow and the conversation of the flow in becoming a Jedi.
Well, so you asked two questions. I get confused now. Which one are you going to ask first? Sorry.
Whichever you feel most comfortable doing. Just.
Okay. So the idea of crude matter when we are illuminous or we're enlightened beings is the fact that a lot of people will base themselves on the idea of the physical manifestation of a person being here in time, here in space, and that everything is a reaction due to the fact that we are here. We can see it, we can feel it, we can touch it. But the weird thing about it is that we're only experiencing the reality we exist in because we know we are alive. But it's the reason we're alive is because we think we're alive. I find that fascinatingly bizarre because people don't understand that to be human, it's to be, I have to look good, or I have to do that. You don't have to do anything. You are amazing, and your projection, like the Buddha said, we are the imagination of ourselves. We project everything we see. And one of the things that I try and explain to people is that we are infinite creativity, and you are this enlightened being that will always be enlightened, but you have to understand that first. And a good way of getting to that very quickly is saying, like, and I always use this example when I'm telling people this. They say, well, how do I understand what you're talking about? I say, look, when you when you're awake, you experience everything, and you can see everything, touch it, and you say, yeah, I'm alive. This is going to happen. Over there's a truck, and it's driving off into the distance, and it's probably going to do something in a construction yard. And that's what you think is going to happen. But to be honest with you, none of that will probably ever happen, because you can't experience it. It doesn't happen, because when you go to sleep at night, the entire universe goes to sleep with you. And what all this proves is that when you think about the universe and how we exist, you think, wow, everything in the universe has to be perfectly in line. It has to have the right temperature on the earth, water vapor, and the right amount of food, and blah, blah, blah. And you think, wow, everything is so special. I'm just a speck of dust in this whole thing. And you say, well, you couldn't be more wrong, because without you, none of that stuff could exist. Because you are alive, because you experience those things, all of those rely on your ability to sense them. Because when you die, the entire world dies with you. And it sounds weird because you're experiencing something now between you and I, but it's what you have projected, if that makes sense. And it's a fascinating concept. But I always say that it's like when you go to sleep and you have a dream that may last, 10 minutes, and you wake up, you go, oh, I've only been asleep for 10 minutes, but you may have experienced 6 hours worth of dreaming. And because when you sleep, in my opinion, you're experiencing infinite creativity. And to me, infinite creativity is consciousness, because consciousness exists between vibration and energy, because the consciousness of a person is neither vibration or energy. And that is infinite creativity. You are enlightened because you are able to communicate and experience that creativity. And yeah, you are not this kind of physical manifestation that we perceive ourselves to be.
Well, and I love what the references that we're talking about, because let's continue this here in the last 10 minutes we have and go back to what I said earlier in my thinking about there is a new generation. And to keep with the Halloween theme, if we could, one of the most popular character costumes, dress up, and the one character costume dress up that the greatest number of adults cannot recognize who the character is, right? So it's, you go out and you clearly can see that kid is Wonder Woman, right?
Yeah.
But what about this other, and I got to call it a complete force that is monopolized by children, and that's Stranger Things on Netflix.
Oh, yeah.
Monopolizing the world. The most popular costumes, conversations right now on Halloween have to do with these characters that most adults, by the way, don't recognize. Trick or treat, You knock on the door, right? The kid, I was just talking to a child who was dressing up with one of the least known characters, knocking on the door. She said, hello, everybody's asking me. So my mom created a label, a card, like a name card. And I'm thinking, these kids know who these characters are and why they want to become them, don't they?
Yeah. And it's funny because I think Stranger Things is so popular and so popular to young people because it's like people have a thirst for knowledge, don't they? And Stranger Things gives you this kind of a what if scenario. So what if we could break through into alternative universes? And what if these are just normal kids back in the 80s? Technology's got nothing to do with it because it's back in the 80s. It's not like the technology we've got now. It's analog systems, but science fiction still exists in this alternative universe. And to me, that's kind of people thirsting for paranormal activity. People are obsessed with paranormal activity. That's why the Halloween is such a popular holiday. But paranormal activity is the soul's way of flexing its muscles to say, this is something. The reason you're resonating towards it is because it's real. You know what I mean? It's kind of like people don't realize it, but that's why. Why does Halloween exist? Why does this thing even happen? Because paranormal activity is something we are inherently accustomed to, and we love it. But the new generation love it even more because they've got, again, millennials making TV shows for millennials, and there you have it. And that's why you have this kind of generation gap. But something funny, I think you said that one of the Halloween costumes, and this is just my opinion on it, you said one of the popular Halloween costumes was a bunny rabbit, right?
Yes, it was a rabbit. It's popular.
Yeah. And do you know why I think that's popular? And this is just me being a kind of a crude psychoanalysis. Is because Alice in Wonderland, they refer to the rabbit hole as going down the rabbit hole. Oh. And the rabbit lives down the rabbit hole. But she goes down the rabbit hole to figure out what is going on. So to be the rabbit, just like in the Matrix movie, Follow the White Rabbit, it's the starting, it's the seed, it's the first step towards enlightenment. Because in Matrix, he follows White Rabbit, becomes enlightened, he realizes what universe he's in. In Alice in Wonderland, she follows White Rabbit, goes down the hole, she realizes that she's in this crazy wonderland. So to me, that's an unconscious attempt at people saying, I'm at the first step of uncovering what is happening, and I'm getting my way down this rabbit hole. But that was just my look on it.
Well, I've saved the best for last in this, and it has to do with, when we talk about Become the Force. Before we start doing this, one more time, how can folks get a copy of the book, Daniel? How can they find out more about you?
Sure. Okay. So you can pop over to becometheforce.com, and you can pick up a copy from Barnes & Noble or Amazon, depending on your geographical location. But if you really want to know a little bit more on me, you should check me out on YouTube, because I'm quite a big YouTuber, so I do a lot of YouTube stuff. So it's youtube.com/The Aspie World, and ASPIE World, so The Aspie World. And you'll see a bunch of stuff, and I talk about the book and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, very, very interesting, good information on becometheforce.com, and more will be available on the 16th of November.
So here's the question, and I love that. This is, for me, a great way to kind of, bring things three circle. In the book and in the whole Jedi series and energy, I think most of us wanted to hold out for the dark side, for the main character, the bad guy in the films, in the energy, in the movie. I think a lot of us wanted to hold out for a transformation of goodness. Now in our day, we are not so much holding out. That was back then, right? Now what we're doing is we're looking at some characters that walk on the edge of good and bad. And here's one of them. Believe it or not, at the top of the list, outside of Stranger Things and Wonder Woman, it must be the year for female Halloween costumes, is the wonderful, you try to figure it out, don't ever make another Suicide Squad without Harley Quinn. Don't do it.
Well,
make her own movie. And isn't it this interesting? I think she represents both light and dark side. What do you think?
No, I do. I think so too, and I think that's fascinating. That's why I'm kind of smiling when you said that, because she is. It's like she's inherently bad, because that's the type of person. She's trying to not be as bad. It's that effort that's been put in there, because hey, I'm a badass or whatever, but I'm not I'm not this horrible person that's going to kill everybody. They're trying to better themselves, and I think maybe it's a reflection on a lot of people. People are like, I smoke and I drink and I, eat too much red meat, but I'm trying to better myself and I'm trying to move past that. And maybe it's just kind of, I don't know, maybe it just represents a lot of people. So I think that's why it resonates a lot. And I was in Comic-Con in London on Saturday, just gone. I was doing a panel talk there. And so I was just, because we had these passes, obviously, because when you appear and say you have passes, so I was just walking about, and it was probably there were two costumes that I'd seen abundance of. One was Harley Quinn, and the second was 11 from Stranger Things. So I found that so insightful. I was like, wow, and maybe it is, because again, Stranger Things. Just slightly go back a bit. The reason 11's so popular is because she's telekinesis and psychokinesis. So I think those traits, again, resonating towards paranormal activity within humans, is kind of the first to become a Homo novus, and I think that's just fascinating as well. And I guess Harley Quinn's just really, really hard and very confident, and I think a lot of young women want to be confident and feel kind of like I don't know, sexy, confident, whatever you want to call it. And that's a way of expressing that, through the superhero kind of attitude or a supervillain. So it's kind of like, kind of ignore the bad to get to the fact that she's got this, really cool attitude and this really cool kind of confidence level. So maybe that's why they're doing it.
Well, it's interesting, and I know we've got a couple of minutes left, but I'll tell you from a parent's perspective and what was shared with me when her daughter walked up and said, I'm thinking about being 11, or I'm thinking about being Wonder Woman, I'm thinking about being Harley Quinn. Mom says, oh, you don't want to be 11. And so why did Mom think that? Because this child was wanting to make an appointment to get her hair cut. So this is the parent's worst nightmare, is when their child wants to become this character for Halloween, which means 18 inches of blonde hair has to come off. And and kids don't really care. Yeah. Thank you, Dan. One last question. Thank you. Personal message. What would you like to leave us with today?
I always try to think of something good to say if I ask this question, but I always want to say to people that if you be great, you can do great things. So always think highly of yourself and deeply of the universe.
I love it. For those of you that missed any part of this, you're going to want to hear this later on tonight. Daniel M. Jones is the author of Become the Force. We've given you lots of information. Please make sure you get a copy of this book. It is amazing. And for those of you that are out there thinking, what can I share with my child? What can I share in common to eliminate the words can't and try? This is going to help you enormously. Let's take a short break. We're not done on Halloween yet. We'll be right back.
Preceding audio was via a Skype call.